Greetings, my name is Neosekken and welcome back to my Let's Play of Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc. In the last episode, we investigated Chihiro's murder and we come across several clues that point to the possibility that Chihiro was murdered by not just somebody within the group like in the last trial, but possibly by a well-known serial killer called Genocide Jack. And during that investigation, we've also come across a few clues that could point to Genocide Jack's true identity, along with some clues that puts how Chihiro's murder site was set up into question. Namely, was Chihiro actually killed there? And also some bizarre details that I've noticed about how her corpse was set up after going over the Genocide Jack murder case files. So, what we're going to do is we're going to just go ahead and get the trial started. So I just want to take a look at my e-handbook real fast. Because I don't think that I can... No, wait a minute. Oh yeah, I got set skills here, of course. Wait a minute. Crap, I don't have enough for vocabulary. Never mind, I guess I'm just gonna have to go with the one skill I have. The bizarre class trial begins again. Why was Chihiro murdered? Is the killer hiding within the group? Is there any help to be found in this series of murders? Nope, we're on our own. And if you ask me, I wouldn't have it any other way. Here we go.
Let's begin with a basic explanation of the class trial. So, your votes will determine the results. If you can figure out who done it, then only they will receive punishment. But if you pick the wrong one, then I'll punish everyone besides the Blackened, and the one that deceived everyone else will graduate. Okay then. So, first off, let's talk about the murder weapon!
First we have to make clear what was used to deliver the fatal blow. Going by the scene of the crime, I think we can safely deduce that it was the barbell we found on the floor. It did have blood on it, after all.
Chihiro's fatal injury. It appears it was a head wound.
According to the Monokuma file, the killer used a blunt instrument. But what kind of blunt instrument could
this
it have
one.
been?
Ah, crap, that was the wrong spot. Well, that sucks. Right off the bat, I'm already screwing up.
Chihiro's fatal injury. It appears it was a head wound.
According to the Monokuma file, the killer used a blunt instrument. What kind of blunt instrument?
I bet it was an iron pipe.
Interesting. That certainly would make for a powerful weapon.
Poor Chihiro.
Yeah, I think it's the iron pipe thing I got to
Chihiro's
shoot.
It appears it was...
According to the Monokuma file, what kind of blunt?
I bet it was an iron pipe.
Nope.
No, that's wrong.
Can we agree that the object that dealt the fatal blow was the dumbbell, found at the scene of the crime?
I don't object to this.
It was covered in blood, and there was nothing else at the scene that could have caused that kind of injury.
And the wound on the victim's head is consistent with the shape of the dumbbell.
I'm glad someone actually checked the head wound.
As far as I'm concerned, there's no mistake and no room for doubt on this one.
You looked at her head wound?
Yay! That's so creepy!
But necessary for our survival, so please silence yourselves.
If you don't mind, I will proceed from here. Let's move on to discussion of the culprit. Although, I believe the criminal behind this heinous act is already quite clear.
I disagree.
What? For real?
Chihiro's killer is the fiendish serial killer, Genocide Jack.
Yeah, for someone who is apparently taking a special interest in the Genocide Jack case, to me it's quite interesting how, upon looking at the scene of the crime, you wouldn't notice all the inconsistencies with how Chihiro's corpse was set up along the nature of her injuries, compared to what we've seen in the case files themselves. And, well, I refuse to believe that you're this stupid. Genocide Jack, finished serial killer. Did he really kill Chihiro? A new element has been added to non-stop debates. Yeah, let's hear about it. For this debate, lines of white noise will appear to disrupt your reactions. Your truth bullets will disappear if they hit these lines, so think of them as obstacles in your debate. But there's a way to keep white noise from getting in your way. Press the A button to attach the silencer, which you can use to shoot down the white noise. However, if you shoot an actual remark with your silencer instead of the white noise, the time limit will decrease, so take careful aim when you have your silencer out. Oh, but if your action difficulty is set to gentle, white noise won't appear at all. In which case, you can forget about the silencer and just focus on the situation in front of you. Well then, good luck and have fun. I don't need luck. Just good old logic and good aim. I'm going to say I'll need a Genocide Jack file.
The culprit is Genocide Jack.
Crap.
In short, case closed, as far as I'm concerned.
But that's impossible.
Why? What makes it impossible?
Well, I mean, come on. There's just no proof for it.
Hey, so, speaking of Genocide Jack,
I have to use.
I don't know who that is!
You don't know who that is, really. The evidence that shows Genocide Jack is related to the case. It has to be the case file.
The culprit is
Genocide Jack.
Case closed, as far as I'm concerned.
But that's impossible.
Why? What makes it impossible?
Well, I mean, come on. There's just no proof for it.
No, that's wrong.
Well, the only proof I actually have is that someone at least knows the killer's MO,
know
but that's
one
really
reason
all
he
it.
could
That's
be
really all
involved.
it is.
What?
I found this file while I was looking around the archive in the library. I guess it's some kind of confidential file the police put together about the Genocide Jack case.
What? That's kind of weird as shit, isn't it? What was something like that doing in the library?
The why of it is probably more trouble than it's worth, so let's forget about that for now. More importantly, it outlines all the specifics of every Genocide Jack case in exceeding detail. According to the file, there appear to be two defining characteristics in every Genocide Jack case. The first is that a bloody message is found written at the scene of every murder.
Oh, that's right. Boob lust.
Get your pointy head out of the gutter, man. This isn't the time for that shit.
No. It's actually bloodlust.
But more important is the other characteristic, and it's something that has never been made public.
Never made public? What the hell is it?
Why don't you tell them, Makoto?
The other characteristic of every Genocide Jack case, which the world at large doesn't know, was how the victim was positioned.
I got it! Apparently, in every Genocide Jack case, the killer suspends the body in a certain way. Other than the killer, the only people who know about this are the higher-ups in the police department.
However, Chihiro was most definitely suspended in the same way.
Not quite.
So, how did the culprit know about this when only high-level police officials were aware of it? There's only one logical answer I can think of.
I can think of several.
It's because the culprit in this case is the real Genocide Jack.
No fucking way!
You're saying Genocide Jack is one of us?
Yes. In fact, it's Toko.
He just comes right out and says it.
What?
Genocide Jack's true identity is Toko Fukawa.
You lie!
What? Hey, okay, wait, hold on a sec. Toko has, like, bloodophobia or whatever, remember? What kind of
Hemophobia.
serial killer is afraid of blood?
Is Toko Genocide Jack? The answer is yes and no.
Another riddle? Man, why is this gotta be so complicated?
Just listen, man. It does seem like a riddle in a way, but I feel like I can just about see it. Genocide Jack is Toko, but isn't Toko. What does it mean? Think about the case profiling in the files, man, then you'll have your answer. Hangman's Gambit. Crap. What word was this again? Oh yeah, I remember now. It's the incorrect term, but what I want to use here is schizo.
Now I understand. Is it because Genocide Jack has a split personality?
Huh?
I think I read that somewhere in the file, too. They thought that the suspect might have, what did they call it? Dissociative identity disorder.
Oh, okay. But still, to go and say that about Miss Fukawa is...
Perfectly acceptable. Toko's strange behavior after seeing the body is proof enough that she has a split personality.
Not necessarily. Human psychology is not quite that simple. The one thing that shows Toko could have split personality has to do with her behavior. Her behavior changed.
I got it! You're talking about how she started acting totally different than usual, right?
That's right. Think back. She fainted when she saw Chihiro's corpse, and then, when she woke up...
How hard did she faded?
She was acting funny, that's for sure. That melancholy tone of hers completely disappeared.
Don't go assigning adjectives to my tone without permission.
Not to mention, once she regained consciousness and saw Chihiro's body again, she was utterly calm. In other words, within her is one personality that can't handle blood, and one that obviously can.
So when Toko trapped herself in her room, it's because she was scared of Genocide Jack?
Won't let Genocide Jack have control. Drive out the killer, drive out the murderous fiend.
The reason she locked herself in her room wasn't to keep other people from getting in.
It was to keep herself from getting out. Or rather, Jack.
It was to keep her other personality from getting out.
What?
Toko was afraid. Afraid of the murderous fiend inside of her. Of killing even more people.
How?
Yeah. How can you know all this?
I do believe you misunderstood her. What she's trying to say isn't, how can you know all this? No. What she wants to know is, how could you tell them?
Well, that is a very good question. How could you?
Huh?
Last night, just before Monokuma gave his motive speech, Toko and I had a strange conversation. She told me a most interesting story. She said a murderous fiend lived within her, and she was afraid it could appear and attack at any time.
That's probably what Toko's deepest dark secret was in her envelope. Was that she has a split personality called Genocide Jack.
And that trepidation is what's caused her to have such a bleak attitude. Isn't that right, Toko?
Well, when you know you have a split personality inside you that's a serial killer, I guess that would give you a very bleak attitude on life in general, now wouldn't it?
This is all a lie. Right, Toko?
You said you wouldn't tell anyone.
What?
You promised! I can't believe you lied!
You have only yourself to blame. You came to me with your tragic little story. I didn't ask you to. This is the real world, not some romantic fantasy fairy tale.
You really are an ass, you know that?
Besides, you broke your promise first. You said that as long as you were here, no matter what, you wouldn't let Genocide Jack kill anyone.
I am not convinced that Genocide Jack actually did kill anybody, going by the state of Chihiro's body.
But in spite of that promise...
Sorry, I couldn't keep our promise, but don't worry, never again. I won't let Genocide Jack have control ever again.
You said if I kept my promise, you would go out with me.
Oh, yeah. I forgot that they made that kind of promise. I can't help but really pity you, Toko. Truly.
That's the only reason I promised.
How many times do I have to tell you? I never said that. But you weren't able to do it. You just couldn't resist that rush you got from killing, could you?
I tried! I swear I tried to control it,
But your efforts were useless. What a disappointment.
I hate you.
Good.
Well, the opening act is nearly finished. All that's left is to hear from the person in question directly.
The person? You don't mean...
Toko's body. Where did I get buddy? Although I guess she does have a head buddy, doesn't she? Toko's body suddenly lunged backwards. A huge thud echoed across the courtroom. But in the next second...
Well, hello there! Is it me you were hoping to see?
Tongue!
What the heck? So you figured it out, huh? Well, whatever. What are you gonna do? I'm the ultimate murderous fiend, Genocide Jack! Or better yet, let's go with Genocide Jill!
What the fuck is this?
Toko, what happened to you?
Not Toko, that's a loser name, and what happened is a textbook split personality. So what if one of them happens to be a serial killer? You should turn a blind eye to one's fault.
So intense.
Like they say, sound and murderous mind, sound and murderous body.
This one is so different from the one we've come to know.
Yes, well, the world is composed of a front and a back, you know. Just like how every inning has a top and a bottom, or how in the depths of every truth lives a little lie. Behind every dark and gloomy soul lives another that shines as bright as the sun!
This is the murderous fiend's Genocide Jack? This is beyond insane!
Miss Jack, Jill, can I ask you a question?
Please don't murder me.
What's up?
Gotta admit, she's got a cute smile.
Some of us think you might be the mastermind behind our entire situation. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll tell you, I am the mastermind of all masterminds! Just kidding!
Then it's not true?
Of course it's not true! How dare you try to link me to that creepazoid?
You're really not that much. You're really not that much different in a lot of respects when it comes to the creepiness and, well, frankly, bloodlust.
And another thing, the police and government and society in the outside world are totally powerless. I mean, they just let this idiotic, bloodthirsty maniac go buck wild all over town.
Sure, I'm a bloodthirsty maniac, but life is pain, right? To live is to hurt other people.
Yeah, but most of us don't go around intentionally bringing pain to others just for the thrill of it.
It's a necessary evil if you want to survive. The act of living itself causes pain for everyone.
How was killing a bunch of men with custom-made scissors and suspending them on against walls helping you to survive exactly?
Just kidding again!
This should be enough to convince you. This murderous fiend is responsible for Chihiro's death. There's clearly a motive, so there should be no doubt.
A motive?
Remember what Monokuma told us? If someone didn't murder and graduate within 24 hours, an embarrassing memory or secret would be revealed. Well, let's assume that Toko's secret was about Genocide Jack. If a secret like that came to light, Toko's life would have undoubtedly been forever ruined. So she had a very clear motive to never have that side of herself exposed.
I hate to agree with you, but you do have a point on this.
Interesting. Very, very, very interesting. But sorry, as much as I hate to admit it, I'm not the culprit.
Huh? But I cannot imagine anyone other than you could murder someone in such a bizarre fashion.
Maybe so, but nevertheless, it's the truth.
Do you really expect any of us to believe you?
Yeah. I could never believe a word you say, you monster!
Then let's speak with evidence. And thankfully, I got plenty of that. Maybe she's totally right about that, but something's still bothering me. What she said. I need to get some more details about all this. Status of the dead body, I think, is the bullet I want here.
Sorry, but I didn't kill anyone!
You say that, but do you really expect any of us to believe it?
Perhaps if you had an alibi, that would change things.
Oh, an alibi, huh? Now we're talking!
When you compare your past murders to this incident, the modus operandi matches...
No, it doesn't.
No, that's wrong. Are the methods of murder really exactly the same? I'm not so sure about that. I think there's a slight difference between the Genocide Jack cases and this one.
Slight. Just slight.
How's it any different?
Uh-oh, you don't know? Well then, human garbage, let me tell you! I murder with passion and conviction.
Clearly.
I consider myself a professional, and I have a very particular way of doing things.
So does every serial killer.
Imagine you go to a fancy Italian restaurant. They're very picky about the noodles, the sauce, everything.
Not all of them.
But what happened to Chihiro? It'd be like if that same Italian restaurant started using ragu or Chef Boyardee. This is no creation of mine!
Let me rephrase that, in a way that maybe makes more sense. There are two clear differences between the Genocide Jack cases and this one.
There's one clear difference between the murders. The victim's fatal injury.
I got it! For one, the cause of death is different. In the Genocide Jack murders, all the victims were killed the same way. According to the case file, they were all apparently killed with a pair of scissors. But Chihiro died from a blow to the head, right?
Ah, yes. That is remarkably different from the other murders.
Wouldn't it be strange for someone who kills the same way without fail to suddenly change their method? And there's more. One more conflicting detail.
That's right! In my recipe of murder, if the bloody message is the tortellini, then the arrangement of the body would be the pesto sauce!
Are you hungry?
Could you please stop comparing killing people to cooking?
So, are you saying the other difference has to do with how the body was arranged?
That's right. The second difference is related to how she was suspended. What was used to suspend her?
I got it! Do you remember what the killer used to suspend her? They used some kind of rope to hang her up by her wrists.
What is your point?
Well, in all the previous Genocide Jack cases, something else was used to suspend them. Specifically, pairs of razor-sharp scissors.
And guess what? I used my own specially designed scissors for the murders and the arrangement! Like I said, I'm a professional, so naturally I'm very picky about the tools I use. And you know what else?
Do
Big
tell.
Man said there's two differences, but he's wrong.
Big Man? Are you referring to me?
He's not exactly big. The boy next to him, though? Definitely.
Listen up, Big Mac. There's actually one more difference.
Huh?
My word, you really didn't notice? Take a look at who the victims were in each Genocide Jack case. There's a pattern there, just waiting to be discovered.
A pattern?
You guys do know how serial killings work, right? Serial killers tend to prefer victims with very specific characteristics. Usually physical, but sometimes also in terms of personality.
Figure that out, and it'll be plain as death why I couldn't have possibly killed that little lolly girl.
Let's see. There's a pattern surrounding the Genocide Jack victims, and Chihiro didn't fit it. I think I figured it out. I know why she couldn't have killed Chihiro, because Chihiro was a girl.
I got it! Is it because Chihiro was a girl?
Bingo! Bullseye! Right on the money!
What are you talking about?
In all the Genocide Jack cases, all the victims had something in common.
They had penises! Ken Harada, 32. Tetsuhiro Honda, 17. Shoji Gaku, 23. Kano Issei, 14. Takashi Yoshida, 30.
They were all guys?
Ding dong!
That's right! The people I kill with such passion and conviction are all adorable little men! I can't believe I said it! I'm so embarrassed!
The hell is wrong with you?
I can't help it! I'm just a full-throttle boy-on-boy fangirl, and the mopey side of me just hates it!
Never mind.
But now I'm on the fast track to becoming a full-fledged fan madam!
So, since Chihiro was a girl and not an adorable little man, you wouldn't kill her?
Would an Italian chef suddenly start making ramen just because they're both noodles? Don't be stupid. I have too much passion and conviction to cross that line. That's the absolute reality of the one and only.
We get it. You've clearly explained your hobby and your philosophy. But that's not all there is to it. It's a different matter entirely, when you're forced to kill in order to survive.
Quiet, lowly cur!
Lowly? Cur?
Did she stutter? Like me? I don't think so.
I would never kill for a reason as petty as mere survival. And if by some fluke I did kill to survive, why would I bother with the message and arrangement? It'd make me the obvious suspect!
That is a damn good point.
That does make some amount of sense.
Plus, whatever reason I have for killing, I would never leave out my prized scissors. Who would go out of their way to use a big, stupid, heavy dumbbell?
Maybe you used the dumbbell because you couldn't find any scissors in the school?
Any scissors? I don't just use any scissors. I only use my own set of high-class, envy of the entire world scissors!
Okay, whatever. There still aren't any in the school.
If only she used those high-class scissors for arts and crafts instead of bloodthirsty murder.
Are you sure about that?
She's fully equipped.
That she is.
That's right! So I can kill anywhere, anytime! Why would I resort to dumbbells or rope when I have my trusty scissors by my side? Go ahead, tell me I'm wrong! You can't, can you, gutter dogs, all of you! Not to mention, I have no clue how to tie a good knot! So rope's totally out of the question anyway!
Well, that's good to know.
I have no idea what's going on anymore. Could such a heinous villain really be innocent?
But the body really was suspended, right? And nobody but the police knew about that.
There are other people who didn't know. Right, Byakuya?
Yeah. That's why we figured it had to be the real deal, and not some copycat killer or whatever.
Actually, hold on. There is one person. One person who could have copied the Genocide Jack cases. And that someone is me! Because I did read that file too. But anyway, no, it's not me. It's this asshole.
Here's my answer. Byakuya, it's possible you could have found out, isn't it? You'd have no problem gaining access to classified government documents or internal police records. Plus, you'd already looked through the Genocide Jack file before this all happened, hadn't you?
Your silence is deafening.
Are you saying Mr. Togami did it?
Then, the reason he pushed the theory of Genocide Jack being the killer so hard was
To throw us off the scent.
because he wanted to pin the crime on her.
That too.
So, he rearranged the scene to disguise it and make it look like I put my stamp on it. The adorable glasses man was behind it all. Oh, I'm on fire!
Careful, Byakuya. She might get to you before Monokuma does.
Well, Byakuya, what's your response?
I see. So now the suspicion falls on me. Then I must ask, when would you say I began acting suspicious? Surely you must have an answer.
How about right at the very fucking beginning of this investigation? When you dragged me along with you?
Back and thinking about it now, the way you were acting right before we discovered the body was a little strange.
Oh yeah, that too. In locker rooms. Suspicious. Very suspicious indeed. Okay, I was off a little bit, but I was generally close enough to the mark to where it counts, I think.
You wanted to go to the girls' locker room right away, right? But since you're a guy...
I should have naturally thought of the boys' locker room first. Is that what you want to say?
Duh.
The victim was Chihiro, a girl. Hence why I said we should check the girls' locker room.
But if you already knew ahead of time, why didn't you divulge this information instead of just leading us there, like you did?
Nothing strange about that, I'd say.
On the contrary, there's something very strange.
Okay then, what's so strange about it? Go ahead, share with the rest of the class.
Gladly. There's a clear contradiction in what Byakuya just said. I didn't make it clear to everyone. A new element has been added to non-stop debates. Would you like to hear more? Why not? Next, we're going to add something called a true flashback. If you aim at a weak spot and hold down the Y button, then you'll memorize that weak spot. This memorized phrase can only be shot once as a single truth bullet. If you shoot or change the truth bullet, it will disappear from your truth cylinder. However, you can use this flashback feature as many times as you want. If you don't seem to have the answer or to a lie or contradiction in your loaded truth bullets, it might be wise to memorize a different weak spot and use that to make your case. When's the best time to flashback? Well, you'll just have to use your keen wits, won't you? In this case, though, I will say that if you don't use a flashback, you won't be refuting anything. Well then, good luck and have fun. Since it's pretty boy over here I'm going against, you bet your ass I'm gonna have fun with this.
So, you said Byakuya was acting kind of weird before we found the body. But he was acting weird... how?
If you're presented with the opportunity to check out the girls' locker room,
you absolutely take it!
Stop projecting.
That's a natural reaction for any guy!
The victim was Chihiro, who was a girl. So of course I would suggest we check the girls' locker room first. There was no time for pointless distractions. What's so strange about that?
you wish you'd taken me with you.
Hearing Byakuya's comment about Chihiro being a girl, I realize there's a clear contradiction there. Let me make that contradiction clear.
So, you said Byakuya was acting kind of weird before we found the body. But he was acting weird.
If you're presented with the opportunity,
that's a natural.
The victim was
Let's try this. There we go.
No, that's wrong. I'll tell you what's so strange about that. Because up until we actually discovered the body, we couldn't have known who the victim was. So your claim that you went to the girls' locker room first because Chihiro was the victim doesn't hold up.
I can't believe I didn't think of that too, right on the spot.
I see. That's a good answer, I must admit. Interesting. Very interesting indeed. But your reasoning is still too weak.
And why is that, good sir?
Huh? What's wrong? Is that it? Surely you've got more than that. Go ahead, show us.
You're awfully confident about all this. What's with Byakuya's attitude? It's like he doesn't even care. I got him cornered, but he's acting like it has nothing to do with him.
What's the matter? You're not finished already, are you? There must be more to it.
There is, I think.
There is more to it. Think about it. We just talked about the differences between this case and past Genocide Jack incidents. The proof you're looking for is hidden in there.
Oh? Proof that I'm the culprit, you mean?
The differences between this case and other Genocide Jack murders. The evidence that proves Byakuya is responsible is hidden in there? What could it be? Well, I think it has to do with how Chihiro's body was suspended. Namely, with the library desk lamp.
What? The difference
crap.
between the cases?
So what was Celeste's count again? Let me look at that real fast. Okay, just running into Chihiro in the warehouse. I don't think we'll need that.
You want me to explain it again? I want to kill, I use my very own special scissors. And I use those same scissors to arrange the body.
But Chihiro was suspended with... It was some kind of rope. Was it not?
That's right! It absolutely was!
Then there must be something very fishy indeed about that rope.
Hey, Byakuya, where'd you get it from, huh?
I'd never seen
that rope before in my life.
Uh-huh, sure you didn't.
Actually, I'm pretty sure you have seen it before. Because, you see, that rope, or should I say, that extension cord?
I'm really impressed that none of the rest of you have seen the obvious little plug hanging out at the end there when you all saw the body. You all need glasses.
What? An extension cord?
And you need a stronger prescription.
Byakuya, you've used the extension cord in the library more than once, haven't you? And the same extension cord that was in the library all this time went missing after the murder. And there's no way someone who uses that extension cord as much as you do wouldn't discover that fact.
And Byakuya must be the one who took the extension cord. I can't imagine any other possibility.
That's really what you think? Then your conclusion is something like this? I killed Chihiro in the girls' locker room, then hung her up and wrote that bloody message.
With me? No, that's not my conclusion. Given the state of the rug and the posters between the two rooms and how they were obviously switched, I think there's reason to doubt that Chihiro was actually killed in the girls' locker room.
But
we have yet to get there.
Made it look like Genocide Jack was behind it. Is that about right?
He's doing it again. He's totally calm, totally unconcerned. As if he's not even involved. Wait, not even involved.
What's wrong? I asked you if you think that's what happened.
Hell yes, that's what happened. So that's it, right? Byakuya's the killer.
I don't disagree with not disagreeing.
He kept calling this a game, right? So he'd be totally willing to do something like this to win.
Sorry, but could we hold on just a second? I think we need to talk about this a little more.
Huh? Do we really need to? We've already decided who did it.
And your decision will get all of us killed if you don't pause.
I know, but still, there's something that's still bothering me.
Is that right? And what, pray tell, is still bothering you?
Besides your face? Several
I killed
things.
her in the girls' locker room, then disguised my crime. Specifically, I dressed it up to make it look like it was the work of a homicidal psychopath. What about all that bothers you?
Wait. What was that just now? Something's not right. Well, you dress up and make it look like the work of a homicidal psychopath. Byakuya's remarks just now. There's something there that concerns me. The scene of the crime.
I got it! You say you killed Chihiro in the girls' locker room, right?
Well, yeah, that too.
But are you sure about that? Isn't it possible that the murder took place somewhere else?
Now we're finally getting to this. Now we're gonna finally talk about those other clues we found.
How disappointing.
I don't care about your disappointment, man.
What kind of question is that? Even in the world of disappointments, this is a true letdown. She was found dead in the girls' locker room.
Yes.
There is absolutely no question about that.
Yes, she was. But was she killed there?
How could the scene of the crime have been anywhere else?
Well, I think it's entirely possible that she was killed somewhere else, then carried there later, along with the rest of the murder scene.
The rest of the murder scene?
Starting to sweat now, huh? Might finally get onto something, buddy?
That was awfully specific. Please tell me you have a reason for saying all of that.
Very much so. Now silence yourself and listen.
I believe I do.
Hey, Byakuya. Did I just take you off guard? I know. Isn't it beautiful? When the story suddenly moved to the crime scene, Byakuya had been so confident up until now. Maybe Byakuya never even realized that the actual scene of the crime could have been somewhere else.
Hey, don't just move on without permission! What do you mean she was killed somewhere else?
Come on, Makoto. If there's any chance the murder took place somewhere else, let's see the proof.
Evidence that shows the murder took place somewhere else. I need to focus on those things that got switched. Sure thing.
I got it! The proof that she was killed somewhere else is the poster that's hanging in each locker room.
Your proof is some posters?
It's a most unusual set of proof, but proof all the same. Eat it.
The poster in the girls' locker room was a picture of a big-boobed supermodel. But don't you think that's kind of strange?
I like how you put emphasis on big-boobed.
Why would the girls' locker room have a poster like that?
I bet those massive jugs of hers were totally fake!
Meanwhile, the boys' locker room had a poster of the super popular boy band Tornado.
I bet Jill over here would totally love to get in direct contact with all these fine gentlemen here. Much to their, much to the peril of their well-being.
Again, that doesn't really seem to belong in a boys' locker room.
So you're saying that maybe the posters were switched?
I think a better way of attacking this, Makoto, is addressing the fact that the posters are crumpled up and one of them has a blood stain on it.
And there's one other thing I noticed about the locker rooms. You know what I'm talking about, right, Sakura?
You're referring to my protein coffee, aren't you?
Protein coffee?
While I was in the girls' locker room earlier, I spilled some protein coffee on the carpet. But I noticed that after the murder, the stain had been totally scrubbed away.
No, it's not that the stain was scrubbed away. It was moved. Right here.
I got it! The stain on the girls' locker room carpet wasn't scrubbed away. In fact, I found it on the boys' locker room carpet.
That's definitely the stain from my protein coffee.
Then, does that mean that the carpets were switched too?
Yup.
But why would anyone do that?
To hide the scene of the murder.
To move the murder scene from one locker room to the other. It's certainly plausible, don't you think? What? In other words, in order to completely swap the scene of the crime, the blood-stained poster and carpet were moved along with the dead body. By doing this, the killer was able to change the entire room where the murder took place.
I can certainly follow your reasoning, but why would the culprit bother doing that?
We'll get to that in just a minute.
Huh?
Why would they go through all that trouble of switching the scene of the crime? Actually, an even bigger question. If the murder did take place in the boys' locker room, then how did Chihiro get in the boys' locker room in the first place?
That is a fair question. After all, Monokuma did state earlier that that only one person can go into each locker room at a time, and that each e-handbook it can only open the doors of the locker rooms that correspond with the owner's gender. Sorry about that. I had to go take care of something. So, where was I? So, how was Chihiro, a girl, able to get into the boys' locker room if the security system that's set up would require her to present her e-handbook to the scanner of the boys' locker room in order to open it? Well, let's think about this for a second. What could this mean? I'm sure you guys know where I'm going with this, right?
To get into the locker rooms, you have to swipe your e-handbook across the card reader device. But Chihiro's handbook should have only allowed her access to the girls' locker room. She had no way to get into the boys' locker room to begin with.
No, she did have a way, and I can tell you what it was.
I highly doubt that.
Shut up! I'm telling you, I know how she could have done it.
Is he right? Could Chihiro have really gotten into the boys' locker room somehow? Well, there is one thing I can think of. One other thing, anyway. There is the issue of the e-handbooks that are in that mailbox. And there are e-handbooks that belong to boys and girls. Borrow those, you could get into the opposite locker room. So, yeah, I guess we can raise that possibility too. But then it also begs the question: why would Chihiro need to do something like that in order to get into the boys' locker room to begin with?
Is it really possible? Could Chihiro really have gotten into the boys' locker room somehow?
Ah! I got it! She must have hacked her e-handbook. She was the ultimate programmer, after all. I'm sure that would have been no problem for her.
No, wait a minute. The broken handbook belongs to... One of the handbooks found in the main hall had been broken, which is apparently a rare occurrence. Junko and Saika's handbooks both still seem to work, so it is assumed that the broken handbook was Leon's. However, Monokuma claims it's very unlikely that Leon's handbook would have broken. Okay, so the only boys' handbook here that we have to go on would be Leon's, and apparently it's not working. Monokuma, however, claims that it's unlikely that the handbook would be broken. So, we have... Why don't we just...
No, I don't think that's
Let me think about this for a sec. Best way to see here.
Was in the main hall.
Huh? What thing?
I'm talking about Leon's handbook, of course.
No, here! I need to attack there. Crap, I missed!
She could get into the boys' locker room, no problem.
Theoretically, if Chihiro was able to use Leon's handbook, she could get into the boys' locker room. But that's if she was able to use it.
Is it really possible? Could Chihiro really have gotten in?
She must have hacked her e-hand. She was the ultimate. I'm sure that would have. No, I don't. She used the thing that.
Huh? What thing?
I'm talking about Leon's handbook.
Here we go. I was overthinking things. Just need to sit and wait.
No, I don't think Chihiro used Leon's handbook.
Why not?
Because Leon's handbook was broken.
Oh. Well, then, yeah, I guess that'd be pretty impossible, huh?
I am struck silent by how quickly you gave up.
Your words contradict your state of mind.
Plus, isn't there a regulation against using someone else's handbook?
Loaning handbooks.
Actually, the rule states that loaning your handbook is prohibited. It says nothing about borrowing one. In other words, you could borrow a dead person's handbook all you want, and you'd be safe.
Well, yeah. Dead person can't really give consent, now can they?
Yup, yup, yup! Hit the nail square on the noggin!
Of course, if it were broken, that wouldn't make any sense anyway.
So then, she must have hacked hers, like I said. She used her ultimate programmer skills and...
Psst! You can't fix an e-handbook! The instant you open one up, a security buzzer starts blaring!
So, if she didn't use Leon's handbook, and she didn't modify her own handbook...
Then we gotta follow then we gotta follow the improbable answer, because once you eliminate the impossible, then whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. So she can't use Leon's handbook, and using her and modifying her own handbook would be a totally useless endeavor. So, if she was still able to get into the boys' locker room regardless, maybe she's not a girl.
Maybe Mr. Naegi's initial assumption is just wrong?
No, it's not.
It seems like there's no way she could have got into the boys' locker room. So I guess so.
Okay then, I vote for Byakuya.
She totally could if she had a wing wong. Is that it then? Chihiro was killed in the girls' locker room, and Byakuya is the one who did it. Really? But still, I don't know what else I can do. I can, but you're not gonna like it.
Hold on a second.
And Kyoko is gonna be the trooper here and do it for me. Offer the suggestion, I mean.
I agree with you, though. I think you're on the right track.
What the? You finally decide to open your mouth and that's what you've got to say? There's no way she could get in the boys' locker room, right? So...
Why are you so sure she couldn't get in? There's still one other way she could have gained access.
What?
What are you talking about? What other way is there?
Well, to explain that, why don't we take a little break from the trial? I'd like you all to come see something.
Wait! Just what do you think you're doing?
Don't worry. This'll make the whole trial more exciting. I'm sure that thought must please you.
Huh? It'll make things more exciting? Well, alright then. I I declare an official class trial recess.
That was shockingly easy. I applaud you, Kyoko.
For real?
Now then, what is it you want to show us? It better not be boring or I'll be very unhappy.
Oh, I have no doubt it'll meet your lofty expectations. So, shall we go?
Back up the elevator we go. So before I even knew what was happening, the class trial had been put on hold. We headed off, with Kyoko in the lead. And where she took us was... back at the crime scene.
The girls' locker room?
We've already searched this place top to bottom! What are you trying to pull, Missy?
I'd like you to examine the victim's body one more time.
You want to check it again?
Be sure to examine the entire body very carefully. Take your time.
Examine her carefully? Like using our hands? No way, no way, no way, no way, no way!
Afraid of getting your hands on 3D?
It's probably best if I don't run my hands all over a girl's dead body.
Fine, have someone else do it for you.
It's not that I'm creeped out or anything, it's just based on religious grounds, you know?
Sure, okay.
Very well. I'll do it.
At least someone's doing it.
But you're a girl. You shouldn't have to touch a dead body. Just let one of the boys do it.
No, it's okay. I think Chihiro would rather have a girl examine her.
Oh dear, this is... Given what I know, this statement just is a lot more funny to me.
So just leave this to me.
Sakura. What is this? Some kind of secret girl-on-girl action? Is that what you two are about? That's not it at all. Stop screwing around.
Okay, here I go. I'm sorry, Chihiro. Please excuse the intrusion.
Putting her hands together in a brief prayer, Sakura then began to quietly examine her body.
Be sure to check her entire body, and I believe we will solve this particular mystery.
Her entire body? I know you say that, but... What? This is... What is this...
Told you weren't gonna like it.
What is it?
Not possible. It's not possible.
Oh, it certainly is. Sakura's eyes were staring wildly at Chihiro's lifeless form. Her massive frame trembled.
This girl is...
in possession of a one-eyed monster.
Is what?
Is a boy.
Sure, let's go with that.
Ah, I see. So she was actually a he. Interesting. Thank you for confirming this fact. What?
Yep. The gal that you've been secretly well, I guess not so secretly fantasizing about, actually has a schlong.
You're joking, right?
I wouldn't joke about this.
And seriously, look at her. Does it look like she's joking? She looks like a Greek god about to pummel your ass.
Then it's really true?
Chihiro was a guy?
Oh, what? You guys didn't know? Heck, I knew that right off the bat. Chihiro Fujisaki was totally a guy.
Then he was a cross-dresser? Oh no, I'm really on fire! I wish I had killed him!
So that's what Kyoko wanted to show everyone, huh? Interesting.
To think if someone was either a bit braver or a little more perverted, we could have discovered this little tidbit a hell of a lot sooner.
exciting! Now let's ride this wave of excitement back to the courtroom and get back to the trial! I do apologize for keeping you waiting. Now then, let's resume the class trial. We've all just learned of the shocking revelation that Chihiro was actually a boy. Let's pick up from there.
Yes, well, I don't know his reason for hiding it, but the fact is, Chihiro was not a girl, but a boy.
To think that Chihiro was actually a guy. Well, it does explain his avoidance of all the other girls, especially when it comes to being invited to come into places where only girls could enter, like the girls' locker room. The thought that had never even crossed my mind.
And because the victim was male, he would have had no problem gaining access to the boys' locker room.
Assuming his handbook did, in fact, list his gender as male, then yes, that would be true.
Of course his handbook said he was a boy. He dressed like a girl, but he was a boy through and through.
So then, there should be no issue with Makoto's initial assertion. The victim was killed in the boys' locker room, and was then later moved to the girls' locker room. And the killer could have easily used Sayaka or Junko's handbook to get into the girls' locker room.
On top of that, if we once again remember how the security system of the locker rooms functions, you have to basically only go in one at a time. And well, you couldn't use Junko or Sayaka's handbooks to get into the boys' locker room for obvious reasons. Chihiro was a boy, so he was able to get into the boys' locker rooms. So, if he was killed in the boys' locker rooms, I think we can safely deduce that another boy had followed him into the boys' locker room and then killed him in there, and then grabbed one of the student handbooks from the mailbox in the hall, and then used that to move his body into the girls' locker room. So, our killer then would have to be a guy, not a girl.
So Chihiro really was killed in the boys' locker room?
I still don't understand the motive for moving the body, but yes, that does seem plausible.
Well, I must admit, I did find it rather odd. I knew he felt a little off. There was a certain incongruity to his female body.
I see you were closely examining him a good deal, weren't you?
This is a most titillating situation!
Well, I'm glad at least someone here's happy.
So now everything has been connected. All the mysteries have finally become clear.
Far from it, genius.
Okay, well, connected or clear or whatever. We still think you're the killer, remember?
Very interesting. This has become very interesting indeed.
He's off in his own little world.
And so is Jill right over there.
What about you, Makoto? After everything we've learned, do you still think Byakuya's the killer?
Honestly, no.
Well, without a doubt, Byakuya is the one that made Chihiro's death look like Genocide Jack did it. But I think he might not actually be the killer after all.
What? But aren't you the one who accused him in the first place?
Yes, but given in light of recently presented evidence, I can't really go forward with that conviction anymore.
He just seems to be too easygoing about all this. Like he's enjoying us solving the mystery. The way he's acting, it makes it seem like it doesn't have anything to do with him.
And you think that might be because it doesn't have anything to do with him?
Plus, the evidence he left behind was a little too... how can I put it? Overt. He consciously chose to use the extension cord, knowing it could connect him to the murder. At least, that's how I see it.
So the question we should be asking is, why would you intentionally set yourself up in such a way? You got a death wish, pretty boy?
And Byakuya, when you found out the murder took place in the boys' locker room, it seemed to rattle you. And then again when you found out Chihiro was actually a guy. If you really were the killer, that stuff wouldn't have had any effect on you.
So that's your thinking, huh? Well, it bothers me that you don't have more concrete reasons, but it's fine. I guess I'll mark it as correct for the time being.
And to think we could finally be rid of you. Although I guess to be fair, you weren't as annoying prior to this whole murder, this whole second murder. You're a bit more tolerable.
Mark it as correct?
He's right. I am not the culprit. I just happened to come across the corpse in the girls' locker room and decided to alter it.
So why were you in the girls' locker room?
Are you fucking with us right now?
No, I am not effing with you right now. I'm telling you the truth.
Don't have the balls to mutter the fuck word, huh, boy?
Well, I find it very hard to believe.
Go ahead, find it very hard to believe. You're free to be executed along with the rest of us.
If you're really telling the truth, then why? Why do you do that to his body?
My reasons hardly matter right now. Uncovering the culprit is much more important, wouldn't you say?
Yes, you're right.
Now then, if it wasn't me, who was it?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? Because we're essentially right back to square one.
Well, I don't think I can say for sure without talking about it a little more.
We're seriously gonna keep going? We're all good, aren't we? I thought it was clear Byakuya did it.
Well, now it's not so clear.
No, I'm with Makoto. If there's any doubt whatsoever, we need to explore every possibility. Because if we're wrong, we all die here.
That's true. Very well then. I'm with you too.
Damn straight. Count me in.
Do you not have a mind of your own?
Of course I do. What am I, an ant or something?
We sure think like one sometimes.
Anyway, let's discuss this all as a group one more time. We still have time to make our decision.
That's very true.
Our lives are all on the line.
Excellent. Then shall we resume our game of hide and seek?
But if Byakuya didn't do it, then who's the real killer? Who murdered Chihiro? Well, like I said, going by our knowledge of the locker room, the security system, and the situation around the e-handbooks, I think we can safely deduce that the killer had to have been another guy. But it's not Byakuya. There's one thing we can be sure that we know about. The killer is a guy.
I got it!
Since the crime scene was the boys' locker room, you would need a boys' handbook to get in. Since Leon's handbook is apparently broken, the killer would have had to use their own. In other words, it had to have been a guy. That's still not enough. I need to find some more clues. Okay, let's do this. I don't think any of these bullets are going to help me.
Isn't there a single clue that might lead us to who did it?
Well, clues are one thing, but did nobody get a look at the killer?
I'm sure if someone saw the killer, they would have said something by now.
Perhaps someone saw the victim at some point. Even that might be enough for now.
Yeah. All we need right now is any kind of new info.
It's over.
Wait, Celeste, count.
Over.
I gotta use hers.
You want to know who saw the victim? The killer. And only the killer. And it's not like they're just gonna turn themselves in. Game over, man. Game over.
Now it's not the time for aliens references, man. Not only do we have no info on the killer, but nobody even saw the victim before he died. It was actually true. Okay, let's get all the way down there again.
I'm sure if someone saw the
Perhaps someone saw the victim.
Yeah. All we need right now is
It's over. You want to know who saw the victim? The killer.
Here.
And only the...
No, that's wrong. I believe someone else did see the victim before he was murdered. What do you think, Celeste?
Now that you mention it, yes, I did see him.
It would have been nice if you said something about it before I had to point it out.
Huh? Really?
Oh, but I suppose only Makoto knows about this. The rest of you had no idea, did you? That is why you're all making such ugly noises.
Whatever! Just hurry up and tell us!
It was last night, right before nighttime. I saw Chihiro in the dormitory warehouse. I saw him stuffing a track jacket into a duffel bag. And then, I assume, he headed off to exercise.
A track jacket and a duffel bag? But we didn't find anything like that at the murder scene.
It seems likely that the culprit destroyed them to get rid of any evidence.
And that is when he said something that struck me as rather odd.
Well, I better get going. I'm kind of in a hurry.
Chihiro told me he was in a hurry. But why would he be in a hurry? Only if someone were waiting for him, I should think.
So, Mr. Fujisaki was on his way to meet with someone, and then they were going to work out together?
But Hina and I had invited him to exercise with us plenty of times, and he always declined.
Probably because he was afraid you'd find out the secret he was hiding, right?
Which means that conversely, he must have trusted whoever he was meeting with very much.
And they undoubtedly had to have known his secret.
Enough so that he was willing to risk his secret being revealed.
What a marvelous friendship!
The point is, whoever he met up with is the culprit, right? So we just gotta figure out who it was.
But knowing what we know, I can't even guess.
No. You already have what you need to make the connection.
Huh?
Huh?
You know who the killer is.
Seriously?
Who is it? Who's the killer?
Think back to the track jacket and duffel bag the killer disposed of. Focus on the details of these items, and it should become obvious who was waiting for him.
On the surface, I don't see how.
Are you sure about that? You really think we can figure out who did it based on two pieces of evidence that we don't have?
What? You want to track down some fingerprints or something?
Even if we had the equipment for that, we wouldn't know how to use it.
As was noted, the evidence is already gone. There's nothing to get fingerprints from.
Maybe, but we can make certain inferences if we just take the time to talk it out.
Easy for you to say.
Oh, it'll be very easy indeed. Fortunately, I do remember this part.
But fine. Celeste, did you notice anything special about the bag or jacket? The bag was just a normal duffel bag from the warehouse. All the bags in there are the same, so I can't imagine what would make that one special.
Well, if I remember right, there was a decent variety of tracksuits to choose from.
A decent variety of tracksuits. Remember this.
Do you think there might be some connection between the culprit and Chihiro's jacket?
Perhaps. Let's explore that and talk a bit more about the jacket he took.
Does Chihiro's track jacket really hold some clue about the killer? Yes, it does, and it'll become readily apparent what that clue is in just a minute. Somehow, it's really hard to believe.
First of all,
Okay, let me look at Celeste's account again, because I'm not sure... What I'm not sure about when it comes to this part is what I had to use here. Do I need to use her account or a flashback bullet? Blue exercise clothes. Okay, here. I think I'll need to use her account.
he was on his way to go exercise. So next we have to ask, why did he choose the specific tracksuit that he did?
What do you mean, the specific tracksuit?
I got it! He picked that tracksuit because it matched the one the culprit was wearing.
So, what you're saying is, the killer was wearing the same blue
Here!
suit as him?
No, that's wrong. Hold on a second, Mondo. What did you just say?
So, Mondo, how do you know what color tracksuit he was wearing?
Huh? What'd I say?
When Celeste testified a few minutes ago, she said...
I saw him stuffing a track jack into a duffel bag, and then I assume he headed off to exercise.
She never said anything about the jacket's color.
Now you guys know why I told you to keep the jacket's color in mind. It was just for this.
So why did you say Chihiro's blue tracksuit?
What are you just...
You had a good slip of the tongue, Mondo.
Hey, Celeste. What color was Chihiro's tracksuit?
As a matter of fact, it was blue.
And before we began the trial, did you tell anyone that?
The only one I told about any of this was you.
Then, Mondo, how did you know what color Chihiro's tracksuit was?
Because I'm sure he saw the clothes at some point in the investigation.
And here, Taka is gonna go into a downward spiral where he can't believe that his bro might just be a dirty killer.
No, that can't be it.
Brace yourselves, guys. It's not gonna be pretty.
The bag and clothes were surely disposed of by the time we began our investigation.
Then the only reason he could have known what color the tracksuit was is if he saw Cherry with it before he died! That's the only possibility!
Cherry?
Are you talking about Chihiro?
AKA Cheerio.
So, how about it? Did you see the tracksuit or didn't you?
Just by chance. I just happened to see it last night.
Oh? Where were you last night?
He walked past me, and he was carrying the tracksuit in his hands.
No, that can't be it either. According to Celeste's testimony,
She stuffed the jacket into her bag in a hurry. It was almost like she was trying to hide it. Just like that, she was gone.
when Celeste noticed it, Chihiro made a point of making sure the jacket was completely in the bag. If you just ran into him briefly, you couldn't possibly have seen what color the tracksuit was.
You just deep sixed yourself, my friend. And now I gotta start putting in the sand in the hole you just dug for me.
It would appear you dug your own grave.
Perhaps. But you handed him the shovel, didn't you? That's why you said what you did. Focus on the tracksuit and it'll be obvious who he met with? What a bunch of nonsense.
Ah, now I understand. It was all one big bluff, wasn't it? Your true intention was to draw a slip of the tongue from the culprit.
Well, it was it worked, so good on her.
That's why you said you knew who did it, to put them on edge.
That's right. However, Mondo was my target all along. I had my suspicions about him from the very beginning.
But why? What made you so suspicious?
That's a good question.
Well, because I hate him. Well, it doesn't look like I'll have any consequences if I choose the wrong one, so I'm just gonna screw with this, just for the fun of it, because I hate him.
There was a certain turning point that tipped me off. Maybe you didn't notice it, Mondo, but you tend to refer to men and women differently.
God damn it, I was expecting something more than just dead silence. Although maybe that's all that was really needed.
You only call guys dude. For girls, it's chick. And after he was killed, you happened to refer to him as dude.
That you did.
Once I picked up on that, it occurred to me that Mondo knew something we didn't.
You notice such a tiny detail?
Are you a witch? She's a witch! You're positively frightful!
No, I'm not the frightful one. Not nearly as frightful as someone capable of murdering a friend.
Mondo, was it really you? Did you really kill Chihiro?
I didn't kill anyone! You've been all over me, judging everything I say, putting words in my mouth. What gives you the right to treat me like a goddamn criminal?
Well, you done it, didn't you?
Yeah! He would never do something like that! This is a false accusation!
It's true. My reasoning on that is pretty shaky.
That was fast.
Well, this does present us with a problem. It seems we are all out of leads.
My time has nearly come.
Are you now going to finally open your mouth about that evidence you claimed to have found earlier?
That's what my little ghost friend is telling me.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. Hifumi, weren't you telling me you'd found some evidence?
Really? What kind of evidence?
Actually, no. Now that I'm thinking about it here calmly, it might not be all that relevant.
Present it with us, twerp. I'll determine that.
Jeez, does your confidence just get up and walk away? It's fine, man. Just tell us.
If you really insist, then... Here it is.
What do you have there?
It happens to be an e-handbook. I found it laying on the ground, so I scooped it up.
And it doesn't look functional. You found it on the ground. Then it must belong to... It's mine! No, it's Chihiro's.
We know Chihiro's handbook was missing from the scene of the crime, right?
For a fact.
For a fact indeed. I was totally sure I'd found it.
Then it must hold some clue about the culprit, right?
Well, that's what I was hoping. But it's busted. It won't even turn on.
I imagine the culprit broke it to get rid of any evidence after the murder.
That's odd. I didn't think the handbooks were quite so fragile.
You're right. They're not. They're totally waterproof and shock resistant. It would take an awful lot to break one.
And yet, this one does appear to be broken, as is Leon's, sitting useless in the main hall. For all your confidence, that is a remarkably high failure rate.
Do you think there might be some kind of mystery in there somewhere?
Yep.
How precisely did the handbooks get broken?
Remember me posing to you guys to think about common weaknesses to all electronic devices? Well, if you've got your answers, now's the time to, well, bring them to the forefront of your mind as we go over what we're about to go over. Did the handbook get break? There's only one possible explanation. By hitting its weak point.
I got it! You already told us before that the handbook has one weak point, didn't you?
You remember that?
Yep.
Sure, maybe I let that slip, but I never told anyone what the weak point actually was.
But if the handbook is supposed to never break, and two of them broke in quick succession, then
we can only assume that someone's figured out its weakness. You know what the weakness is, right, Monokuma? So, what is it?
You're asking me?
I think it's a necessary piece of information if you want this to be a fair trial.
But if I tell you, and someone else decides to copy it, that would be very not good.
Just tell us already! Why would we want to break our own handbooks?
Oh well, I have a weakness for pushy demands. But you're sure you won't follow their example? Then allow me to make a special announcement. The weak point of my cutting-edge e-handbook is... When it's exposed to high temperatures for too long, it will suffer a meltdown and totally break!
Just like pretty much any other electronic device in existence, frankly. Heat is not an electronic device's friend.
I flippin' knew it!
You knew it?
Yeah, because I found the handbook laying on the floor of the sauna.
In the sauna, huh?
The temperature in the sauna can reach over 200 degrees. Strange how you don't get burnt, huh?
Well, sweat helps protect you.
It's because as your sweat evaporates, it creates a cooling layer of air around your skin. If the hot air of the sauna were somehow pushed directly onto your skin, you'd definitely get fried. That layer of air would get blown away. That's why you may feel a burning when you move around. So when you're in a sauna, make sure to keep nice and still.
Wow, interesting. I learned one new fact today.
That is a mere trifling speck of knowledge.
Your existence is trifling.
Anyway, if you found the victim's handbook in the sauna, then the killer must have been purposely trying to raise its temperature in order to break it.
Meaning the culprit somehow knew its weakness.
So now the question we gotta ask is, how did they figure out that overheating the handbook in the sauna was the one way to break the handbook?
But how'd they find out? Monokuma said he didn't tell anyone, right?
Indeed. Quite the mystery.
What if they found out by accident?
What do you mean by accident?
What if the killer took their own handbook into the sauna, not knowing its weakness, and it broke? They'd realize it was broken, of course, and it wouldn't be hard to figure out why. And once they had Chihiro's handbook, they knew they had an easy way to dispose of it.
I won't say it's not possible, but who would have done something like that? I don't know of anyone who took their handbook into the sauna.
I might know someone who did.
Whoa! Seriously?
I think the one who may have taken their handbook into the sauna was...
Sorry, Taka, but, well, Bugle Hair is the #1 suspect here, so... Who might have brought their handbook into the sauna? There could have only been one person. Your days are numbered, Mondo.
Here's my answer. Mondo, your handbook got broken in the sauna, didn't it?
What? Why? Why do you keep accusing him?
Mondo and Taka had an endurance contest in the sauna not too long ago, remember? And for the contest, Mondo just so happened to keep his school uniform on. But little did he realize, he'd also left his handbook in one of his uniform pockets. And when it was all over, Mondo discovered that taking your handbook into the sauna could easily destroy it.
No, wait, hold on. You've got it all wrong. He would never kill. I don't accept this. Show me the proof. The actual solid proof.
I mean, I don't want to believe it either, but I found something that proves it beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Let's test Makoto's assertion. If what he says is
Trying to
correct,
think over what I need
then
here.
Mondo, you broke your own handbook.
In other words, if Mondo's handbook is actually broken, then that proves that what Makoto said is right.
Well, my goddamn handbook works just fine.
See? Look! Makoto was wrong after all! Mondo wouldn't hurt a fly!
I think I need the broken handbook. Junko and Saika's handbook still seem to work, so I assume that the broken handbook is Leon's. No. Yeah. We assumed that this handbook is Leon's, but I think it's actually Mondo's. Even I don't want to believe Mondo might actually have killed someone. But I found something that proves it beyond the shadow of a doubt.
Let's test Makoto's assertion. If what he said, you broke your own handbook. In other words, if Mondo's handbook is actually broken, then that proves that what Makoto said is right.
Well, my goddamn handbook works just fine.
No, that's wrong. Mondo, the handbook you have right now, is it really yours?
The fuck is that supposed to mean?
The broken handbook that was in the main hall, isn't that one actually yours?
What the heck are you talking about?
What I mean is, I think Mondo swapped his handbook out for one that actually works. I think he took Leon's handbook and replaced it with his own. After all, Monokuma said himself that Leon's handbook never should have broken.
That's right! The punishment it suffered wasn't nearly enough to destroy it.
So then, the broken handbook in the main hall is actually Mondo's. Which would mean that the handbook Mondo has right now is actually Leon's, yes?
But doesn't that violate the school regulation that says loaning out your handbook is prohibited?
Nope.
Well, here's how I look at it. There is a rule about loaning your handbook to another student, but if they're dead, they're not a student. It's kind of a gray area, I admit, but no worries. If anything, it just makes things more interesting. As such, I decree that exchanging handbooks with a corpse is not a violation of the rules.
Well, Mondo, if I'm wrong about this, you're welcome to say so. I'm happy to admit I made a mistake, but...
Actually, I'll do you even better. If I'm wrong about this, show us your handbook. If it's yours, your name will display.
Son of a bitch. What's wrong, bro? Come on, tell him he's wrong. You are wrong. You have to be wrong. Everything you just said is wrong. You made it all up.
Okay, then why don't we look back on this case one more time, from the beginning? That way, everything will become clear, and we'll all see if I was right or wrong.
Alright, time for our closing argument. We're just at the end of this. Celeste saw Chihiro in the warehouse with a duffel bag and... Okay, wait a minute. Let me look this over. Make sure I don't put the wrong thing in. Yeah, this is the right one. You want to put the duffel bag icon right here. There's something everyone has that you need to get into the locker rooms. This. And which locker room did Chihiro go into? Where be the boys? Oh, here it is. Right at the very end. I'm blind. The weapon the killer used was... this thing. And as the murder took place, some blood splattered onto something, didn't it? Yep. To disguise the truth, the killer switched around the carpet as well as something else. The posters. Which locker room did the killer move to? The gals. The killer took something from the other locker room and switched it at the scene of the crime. Well, let's see. Carpet. Where's the carpet? Okay, never mind. I guess it's this thing after all. What was it that Byakuya brought to the murder scene? This thing, in order to suspend Chihiro's corpse. When Byakuya arrived at the scene, what did he use to disguise what happened? This, writing the word of bloodlust. Where did the killer go after they were done? Well, to get rid of Chihiro's handbook, of course, so the sauna. And finally, when the handbook got thrown to the sauna room, what happened to it? It fizzled out. Alright, I think we're good to go.
Here's exactly what happened. First, let's take a look back to before the incident. Last night, Celeste saw Chihiro in the warehouse, correct? At the time, she was apparently stuffing something into a duffel bag. That something was a blue tracksuit. You can confirm this, right, Celeste? With bag in hand, Chihiro headed out, even though it was officially nighttime. She made her way to the locker room, specifically the boys' locker room. But how could the victim, who was apparently a girl, access the boys' locker room? Simple, because she was really a he. Which is why he was able to use his own handbook to gain entrance to the boys' locker room. Once inside, he met with someone there. And the person he met was the one who killed him. It seems likely that the killer grabbed the nearby dumbbell, approached the unsuspecting Chihiro, and attacked him. And that's where the bloodstains on the poster and carpeting in the boys' locker room came from. It was likely in the heat of the moment. The body was arranged, but the murder itself felt unplanned. Which is why the killer hurried to try and hide the act. First, pulling up the bloodstained carpet. Then, removing the bloody poster. And finally carrying the corpse into the girls' locker room. A girl's handbook was necessary to get into the locker room, of course. But this alone doesn't prove that the killer was necessarily a girl. After all, Sayaka and Junko's handbooks had been placed in the main hall. Using one of those, a boy could get into the girls' locker room without much problem. And that's exactly how the killer did it. With the carpet and the poster they brought with them, they got to work. They changed the layout of the boys' and girls' locker room in what you might call a crime scene switch. That could have been the end of things, but no. Byakuya discovered the body and decided to intervene in the situation, making things even more complicated. So, after stumbling on the crime scene, he went and grabbed the extension cord from the library, and then he got to work. He used the cord to string up Chihiro's lifeless body. Then, using the victim's own blood, he left a grisly message there at the scene of the crime. He wanted to create the illusion that Genocide Jack was responsible for the slaughter. And around the same time that Byakuya was putting together this facade, the killer, having already disposed of Chihiro's bag and other belongings, arrived at the sauna. There, they planned to destroy the last piece of evidence, Chihiro's handbook. And just as the killer expected, the steamy sauna was enough to ruin the electronic gadget. Somehow, the killer knew that the handbook couldn't stand up to the heat of the sauna. And the reason they knew that is because the sauna had already wrecked their own handbook. And that's how it all played out. Isn't that right, Mondo Arata?
Say your prayers, Bugle Hair. Because it's soon gonna be time to make you meet your maker.
Wait! No! This can't be right! Where's your evidence? Yeah! Where's your evidence? You need evidence! You need proof!
Sure! I'll just have to convince Mondo to show it to us.
Without any proof, you can't pin any of this on him!
Evidence that Mondo is the killer. That already revealed itself earlier in the trial. All I have to do is check that one item of his, and everything will become clear. A new element has been added to bullet time battles. Oh fuck. This again. Maybe this time I'll do a slightly better job, but I'm not gonna hold my breath. Let's talk a little bit about Fever Time and Nega Time. During a bullet time battle, if you press the right bumper button, Fever Time will activate and the tempo will be forced to its max. At this point, even if you push the buttons at random, you won't miss. So you can push A, Y, however you want to destroy the opponent's verbal assault. But this only lasts until your focus gauge runs out, so make the best possible use of your time. Of course, it wouldn't be fair if only you got access to special time, right? The opponent will as well. So we've also prepared something called Nega Time that your opponent can use. If the opponent activates Nega Time during the bullet time battle, your tempo marker will disappear, making it quite a bit tougher to hit the buttons in rhythm. If you were forced to activate Fever Time at this point... No, never mind. I'm sure nothing would happen. I don't know what I was worried about. Unsurprisingly, if your action difficulty is set to gentle, the opponent won't use Nega Time. Well then, good luck and have fun. Wish me luck, guys. I'm gonna need it for this.
Show me some evidence! You're wrong! I won't listen! I refute you! False! Show me some evidence! I won't listen! I refuse to vote! Show me some evidence! You're wrong! I won't listen! I refute you! False! Show me some evidence!
I did hit the bumper.
I won't listen!
Right?
You're corrupt! I refuse to vote! I refute you! False! You're corrupt! Show me some evidence! I won't listen! Show me some evidence!
This should prove it!
Well, probably only because I had Fever Time to help me out, but I ultimately did better, and it's the end result that matters, right?
Mondo must have replaced his broken handbook with Leon's. In which case, we can just check each of our handbooks right now. Once we do that, we'll...
We don't gotta do that.
Finally admitting defeat.
Huh?
Yeah. I did it. I killed him.
Well, we did it. We got him to admit it. And I got 105 monocoins out of the whole fair, so I got plenty of gift shopping to do in the next episode.
Bro! What are you saying?
I got no choice, man. After hearing all that, I gotta just give up. Go ahead, Monokuma. Get it over with. Ask for the goddamn verdict.
Roger that.
Wait! Hold on!
No waiting, no holding on. Time for the moment we've all been waiting for. Grab your lever and give it a yank! Who will you elect as the Blackened this time around? Will you make the right choice or the dreadfully wrong one? What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be?
Taka is not gonna have a good time. Hell, he's already not having a good time. And if I'm being honest, I'm not exactly having a good time about this either. Uh-oh. This time it looks like you got it right again. Yes, it is so. The Blackened that killed Chihiro Fujisaki was Mondo Iwata!
Unbelievable.
In case you're wondering, the vote was not unanimous. Kiyotaka chose the wrong answer. You're treading very close to the danger zone, Mr. Ishimaru. You need to be more careful. I refuse to believe it. There's no way. No way he would kill someone.
Sorry.
What is this?
Why are you apologizing? Why? 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 Why did you do it?
Now then.
Well, it looks like Mondo's taking a vow of silence, so allow me to explain on his behalf.
Actually,
The story of the murder this time is the sad story of two men. Oh, but for anyone who doesn't really want to hear it, you can hit the B button to fast forward the text. After all this crap, I think we deserve to hear his motive. Anyway, there was once a young boy. His name was Chihiro Fujisaki. He had an extreme inferiority complex regarding his own lack of strength. You're so weak, even though you're a boy. He heard things like that as long as he could remember, and he couldn't overcome his weakness. On the contrary, he tried to hide and buried himself further and further into that weakness, to take on the fragile form of a petite young girl. He had chosen that as his way out. Now nobody will be able to say anything about even though you're a boy. But no matter how tightly he wrapped himself up in that shell, the inferiority complex had already taken root deep inside of him, and was not so easily weeded out. As it turned out, the shell was completely empty. The complex didn't disappear. Instead, it only grew stronger and stronger. I'm weak.
Weak, 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 weak.
Once the killing game had begun here at the school, he had no choice but to accept this fact. After all, this world is survival of the fittest. If you're not strong, you don't survive. And then the lovely and hateful Monokuma announced the revealing of the embarrassing secrets. Which, of course, included Chihiro's embarrassing secret, which I was more than willing to divulge. Even though he dresses like a girl, Chihiro is actually a boy.
Hey,
And that was something Chihiro couldn't let anyone find out, no matter the cost. If that was revealed, it would be the end. The hardened shell would crack, the armor would fall away. Without a doubt, those around him would torture him more than ever before. Everyone figured being thrust in such a dilemma must have sent him spiraling into despair.
What?
And yet...
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I don't really want to talk about it right now.
But
I also don't want to leave things the way they are. So maybe I can talk about it later. After I try my best to become strong. And I can tell everyone. Annoyingly, he used the thread of discovery to motivate himself to become stronger.
that's right.
Now's my chance.
I want to change.
I'm going to get stronger. And accept who I am. Strong enough so that when someone says, even though you're a boy, I'll be okay. I'll get better. With that thought at the front of his mind, he resolved to take immediate action. And so, that day, he made the commitment to begin exercising. He was prepared to retrain his mind and body. But sadly, that would be the first and only chance he would get at it.
Hey,
When he decided to start exercising, he thought it would be good to ask for someone's help. But he wanted to tell that person his secret first, and then ask them to help him from there. And the person he went to was Mondo.
Yeah, that's right.
It was me. Yup, it sure was. The biker gang fella had been painfully clear about how important his manly promises were. So Chihiro probably figured that even if he confided in Mondo, his honor would make him keep the secret.
Uh-huh.
Plus, Mr. Macho Mondo was the very symbol of a strong man that Chihiro had always aspired to. I think he could have done a little better than a biker gang leader, but, well, I guess I really shouldn't. Sounds like I'm disrespecting the dead here a bit. Maybe talking to Mondo about it will help give me some courage. So he went and asked Mondo to help him to become strong. I think it's meant to read Monokuma instead of Chihiro, but what do I know? That was his aspiration. And he thought that only with Mondo's support would he ever be able to come close to that.
Correct.
So then, that must be why Mondo did what he did. To keep the promise he'd made to Chihiro. Huh? Did what he did? You mean, that's why Mondo carried Chihiro from the boys' locker room into the girls' locker room?
Indeed.
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. Wasn't that to cover up what he'd done?
Certainly.
That could have been a part of it, but I don't think it was the main reason. The real purpose was to keep the promise between men he'd made to Chihiro. But how does moving the body keep his secret? Simple. If Chihiro was found in the boys' locker room, everybody would start asking questions how he was able to get into there to begin with. And from there, it would quickly wind up with us revealing he was in fact a boy. But for the longest time, after we found his body in the girls' locker room, everyone had assumed, well, Chihiro was, as you all knew him, a girl, and she was killed by somebody in the girls' locker room. Or at least dumped off in there.
Because
if everyone knew he'd been killed in the boys' locker room, then everyone would have been arguing about how she got into the boys' locker room, right? Once that started up, at least a few of us would have immediately begun to suspect his identity. So, he tried to protect Chihiro's secret by putting him in the girls' locker room and stealing his handbook. See? Then, Mondo did all that to keep the promise he'd made to Chihiro, who he'd also killed? Why would he do that? The more I hear you talk, the more I don't understand. I mean, you guys trusted each other, right? So why? Why did you? Because no matter what, I didn't want anyone to know.
I knew it.
So that's what triggered it after all. The possibility of having your embarrassing memories and secrets exposed.
What is this?
That's impossible! Nothing could have been that bad! Something he didn't want anyone to know, even if it meant killing someone.
You're wrong!
It's impossible!
Don't make me repeat myself.
How many times must I repeat myself? To judge others by your own standard is the height of folly. Even if you can't comprehend it, he obviously can. That's all there is to it. Well, while we're on the subject, why don't I tell you? That embarrassing memory, that secret he didn't want anyone to know.
Hey,
You know what Mondo did? He killed his own brother! It is quite the dirty secret. Mondo, the ultimate biker gang leader, makes all the hoodlums and riffraff across the country tremble. But the only reason he had the chance to join a gang in the first place was because of a certain someone. Mondo's older brother's name was Daya Owada. Mondo had nothing but respect for him. It was because of Daya that Mondo ever got on a motorcycle. Mondo's brother was his only family growing up. He was the only one Mondo could trust or respect. He wanted to measure up to his big brother, so he imitated him in everything he did. Mondo was the epitome of the starry-eyed kid brother. Meanwhile, the charismatic older brother had put together a local motorcycle gang. Before anyone knew it, it had grown into the biggest biker gang in the country. Daya, the older brother, number one in the gang, and his number two, his younger brother, Mondo. In the beginning, everything was peaches and gravy. But when Mondo started to think about how he would have to take over the gang from his brother someday, his brother's greatness, his reputation, began to gnaw on Mondo's very soul. The kid's gonna take over for Daya, huh? Daya created this gang with his bare hands. Mondo's just along for the ride. Can someone like that really be our leader? All that do is make the gang look bad. Almost every day, Mondo heard the gossip and whispers of the other members of the gang. Which is why... I gotta get stronger. Stronger than Daya. Once. Just one time. No matter what, I gotta win.
Don't fuck with me.
I don't care what it takes. I gotta come out on top. And on the night of his amazing brother's retirement ceremony, Mondo challenged him to a street race. During the race, tragedy struck. The kid brother pushed ahead with reckless abandon. Where did I get Abaddon out of that? Eager for victory, and dashed into oncoming traffic. But suddenly... laying in his kid brother's arms, the older brother delivered his final words. My bad, kid. I fucked up. Sorry. Of course he knew it was his brother's fault, but Dai never blamed him for what happened. Hey, kid. The rest is up to you. No matter what, you gotta keep the gang together. Because it's the team. you and me put together. It's a promise between men. He decided to hide the truth of what happened from everyone else in the gang. In order to keep the gang together and keep the promise to his brother, he could never admit to anyone that it was his own weakness that caused the accident. And as a result, the team was made even stronger under the banner of the kid who bested his big brother. Daya was going to lose to his kid brother, so he got stupid and got himself killed. That became the explanation for what happened. Mondo's lie became the truth. He wanted to lead the team so bad, he was willing to tell all kinds of lies about his brother.
I'm
strong. Strong. And yet, as soon as our killing game began, he realized, no matter how tough he pretended to be, he was just another weakling that could die in an instant. And then the hateful Monokuma announced the revealing of the embarrassing secrets. At that point, it was clear I would have no problem shedding light on his secret. Mondo killed his own older brother. No matter what, I couldn't let the other gang members find out. If that happened, everything would have been ruined. Everything me and my brother had worked to create would have been destroyed. His death, all the guilt I'd been carrying around, would have all been for nothing. So that's why Mondo, after I saw what Monokuma had on me, my head filled up with a kind of fuzzy uneasiness. It just started swirling around. I never felt anything like it before. I didn't know what to do about it. I wasn't sure what to think or say. But after a while, that fuzzy uneasiness turned itself into a rock-hard lump of anxiety way down in my stomach. And it was right around then that Chihiro asked me to start working out with him. And right there, he told me a secret. Seriously? Jesus.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm sorry I lied to you. But why? Why now? Why are you telling me this all of a sudden?
Huh?
Because, I mean, you've kept all that secret all this time, right? If anyone found out, you would...
But...
You're right, but...
I want to change.
I wrapped myself in lies. I'm weak. I want to destroy that version of me forever. His words were like a knife in my gut. I felt like he was exposing the lie I'd been living myself. Basically, his words cut too deep into you and, well, things just spiraled out of control from there. I have to change. I don't want to be weak anymore. You're so strong. It can't hurt you, right? Whatever secret Monokuma might tell us.
You piece of...
So, what? You're saying I should just say it?
What? What?
You're saying if I really am, I should just be able to tell everyone my secret.
Huh?
I was jealous. I I was jealous of Chihiro's strength. He had the strength to face his own weakness, to try and overcome it. It was the kind of strength I'd never had. So I was jealous of him. And that jealousy broke me.
What? What?
Are you making fun of me? I'm strong? Are you fucking with me right now?
No!
I'm not making fun of you. You really are strong, Mondo. I felt like I could hear something starting to creak. Something inside my head. What did he want me to do? What was I supposed to do? Was I supposed to just sit back, let my secret get revealed, and ruin everything?
What's wrong?
Damn you!
Why did you have to tell me all that? Are you trying to rub my failure in my face?
I just wanted to...
No, I just really admire you. I admire your strength.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. I am strong. Strong. I'm strong. Strong. Stronger than you!
You son of a bitch!
And stronger than Daya! I don't remember anything after that. When I woke up again, he was laying at my feet, covered in blood. I had the dumbbell in my hand. I was just staring at him, down on the ground. Hey!
I killed him. I killed Chihiro. Even after all this time, I'm still just as weak as I've always been. And thanks to that, I did something I can never take back.
Mondo. He was normally so aggressive, so angry. He hid that weak side away from everyone. That was his secret. A weakness like that lived in a heart like his, and it turned him cold-blooded. God damn it! Look at him! You see, you're all just like him! From a secret from the past, for a memory. For that, he killed another living human in cold blood! He could cut free of his regrets from the outside world. He doesn't know what true strength is. Do you see hope anywhere in there? 'Cause I sure don't! You bastard! Just shut up, you son of a bitch! Go ahead! Say that again! I dare you!
Yep.
Okay. I'll say it as many times as I want. Is what I want to say, but... Unfortunately, I can't do that right now. Because the time for punishing is fast approaching! Punishing?
It can't be.
You mean... execution?
Well now.
That's what I promised you, right? The Blackened that disturbs the peace will be punished.
Ridiculous.
Hold on.
Now then, I've prepared a very special punishment.
For Mondo Owada, the ultimate biker gang leader. No! Wait! Wait!
Let's give it everything we've got. It's punishment time!
I said wait!
Sorry, man. I couldn't keep the promise we made. From one man to another.
Here we go again. Game over. Mondo's been found guilty. Time for the punishment. Cage of Death. Fun fact, apparently spinning around in a ball really fast on a motorcycle can turn you into butter. Now we know how butter is made. The secret of butter is people! You guys will get a thumbs up from me if you guys can get what I'm referencing. Laugh at death, and your soul will forever be at peace. It can't be. My brother. Another murder. And another execution. I want to feel again. Everyone's lives are taken so lightly here. I feel like I might be going mad. Maybe I'll just let it happen. Poor Taka. As Taka's sad screams invaded our skulls, we were each forced to realize once again. But he... Of course he had to. What a disappointment. This is the end of the game. Byakuya.
What is this?
You're completely insane, you know that? A game? One of our friends is dead! Do you realize that?
Naturally.
Of course I do. Because this is a game of life or death.
Hey.
You could try learning a little bit about basic human empathy, you know. It'll really go a long way towards increasing your likability. I don't have anything to say to you. I don't have a response except that.
However,
I just don't understand why. Why'd you go out of your way to disguise Mondo's crime?
What?
Why? That was the one question we never really had answered during the whole trial itself. Why the fuck did you make a nuisance out of yourself? Isn't it obvious? Because it made things more interesting. To borrow Hina's words, you're insane, you know that? His voice was calm, emotionless, like the voice of death. It chilled me to the bone. Last night, when the murder took place, I was in the library as usual.
Honestly.
So you ignored the nighttime rule too. That rule never mattered to me. I don't recall agreeing to it.
There is nothing to be done.
Well, I don't particularly care. Please, continue. The night grew late, and I decided to return to my room, which is when I stumbled upon him. I spotted Mondo coming out of the girls' locker room. After he'd gone, I looked inside and saw the corpse. What? You mean you actually witnessed the murder? He was such a fool. He didn't have the slightest idea that I'd seen him.
Well...
So, you're saying you knew who the culprit was from the very beginning?
That's right.
Indeed. But if that had been the end of it, how boring would that have been? I mean, what a waste of time to have the answer revealed right at the beginning. Which is why I decided to lend a little helping hand. By putting all our lives in needless danger? Great help! But by the way, 10 out of 10. I thought I would liven things up. You did all that? To liven things up?!
I see.
So after hearing about Genocide Jack from Toko, you decide to use that to create a fake murder scene. But damn, man! If we hadn't figured out who'd really done it, you would have been dead too, right? Well, obviously I would have revealed the truth before it reached that point. Of course. Byakuya turned and looked me in the eye. I could feel his sharp eyes piercing into me. Thanks to a certain remarkable someone, it never did. And I was able to perform an interesting experiment. Once I do decide to become Blackened, I know now who I'll have to watch out for. What?
Correct.
So that was your reason. Are you satisfied?
Indeed.
Yes. We're done listening to your story. Moving on.
Hey.
So you consider you consider a saltless saltine cracker here a worthy opponent, huh? You have poor taste. I'm sorry, that joke was lame. There's something I'd like to ask Monokuma.
What's this?
Oh, I'm up next.
You
like to perform these elaborate executions each time, correct? My question is, why? Do you like them? But you know, this punishment, this despair, it's not just for you. All this punishment, all this despair, is my gift to mankind itself!
What?
You're over-exaggerating. I am not over-exaggerating. These punishments are meant to transform all hope to despair.
Damn.
What do you mean? 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 Mean?
What the
Mean! Good grief! I don't understand why you have to pick apart every little stupid thing! Whatever, it doesn't matter. In the end, I'm going to stand alone as the victor. And then everything will be revealed to me.
Ooh, how exciting!
Ah, the noble son of a noble family. Truly, you understand me. I think this is the start of a terrifying friendship.
That's enough.
Shut up. I would never stoop to the level of a childish criminal like you. Let me just say this. After I have achieved a complete victory, you're up next. I'm going to find you and kill you. Understand? Would you even have the balls for it?
In the name of my family.
In the name of the Togami family, for which victory is a foregone conclusion.
You're getting all riled up!
Ooh, so cool! It's like you're the main character of a video game or something! No trash mob for you! I swear, whatever it takes, I will kill you! Temper, temper. Sounds like someone needs a nap. Monokuma's laughter pealed across the courtroom, and the curtain closed on the case of Chihiro and Mondo. But I knew that wasn't the end. The killing game would still continue. Because the mastermind wouldn't let it end. For those of us who were still alive, our worst fear and despair kept on multiplying. It was the kind of despair that felt like a blind puppy in hell had more of a future than us. All of our courage, our effort, our friendship, it felt like it amounted to nothing at all. It was the worst kind of despair.
Well, anyway, like I was saying...
What an interesting silver figure that you're speaking to. Are you the Silver Surfer?
This is a pretty good spot. Yeah, a really good spot. Anyway, isn't it amazing how that girl went and killed someone before things even had a chance to get boring?
You're referring to Saika.
Once things really get moving, it'll be like a roller coaster. There won't be any stopping it. Fear and despair charge forward at a speed nothing can hope to match. But I must admit, I'm disappointed. I went to all the pain and effort of making you part of the group, and you couldn't play your part. You do remember you were supposed to make the first move, right?
Supposed to make the first move. So, given what we just heard, Saika made the first move, that being apparently having gone and killed someone. So, someone else was supposed to have done the murders, but somebody else beat them to it.
Well, no biggie. Nothing we can do about it now, so just do your best to make things more exciting from now on, okay? After all, that's what everyone wants to see.
There's one thing I'd like to ask you.
As long as you don't want to know my measurements, fire away.
Who is it? The 16th high school student, I mean. Ah!
My, you really took me by surprise there. I know I said you could ask anything, but... Super denied, ultra denied, demonic denied! Because you see, that's my ace in the hole. And nobody be dumb enough to reveal that, right? No matter how close they were to their friends.
Chapter 2. Boys' Life of Despair. The End. Surviving Students. 10. To be continued. So... Oh, hold on. You received the Crazy Diamond present. So... There's a 16th student that we weren't aware about up until this point. But we did see hints of one ever since the beginning of the first class trial, if you remember correctly. Remember that 16th seat that was empty, that was never filled by anybody? There is your first hint. And that's all I gotta say on that at this point in time, because I'm gonna go ahead and end the episode here. So, from this point on, the investigations and the class, and by extension the class trials, are going to get progressively longer. So there's probably going to be instances where, say, if those segments go on for more than, like, say, 2 hours or something, and I know from memory that certain segments, like, again, the investigations or the class trial segments, will go on for at least a decent while longer, I will consider stopping episodes in the middle of those segments and resuming the later halves of them and the ones right after. So, I just thought that I should let you guys know that here, so you guys have plenty of warning in advance here in case I do end up doing that, and you're all left wondering, well, why would I do something like that? Anyway, so we have Chapter 3 to look forward to next time. What's going to come our way then? Well, tune in next time and find out. I do hope that you enjoyed this latest episode of Danganronpa. If you did, and you want to see more content from me, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I'll see you all next time. Take care.